Okay, so we're moving on to word problems using equations. And this is going to be the last topic that we do with equations before we move on to inequalities or inequations. So word problems. So this is when they give you a problem in sentence form using words and not so many numbers, not so many mathematical symbols. So we need to really read the question and understand what the question is asking of us. So I've written down these steps here. You can find these steps just before exercise 703 in your textbook. I think it's a really good idea if we write these steps down somewhere that's accessible while we're working out the problems, just so that we can always come back to it and go, okay, what's my next step? So write down these steps and then we'll get started on example 1. All right, example 1. When 3/4 of a number is decreased by 8, so we don't know what the number is. When 3/4 of a number, whenever it says a number, that's a pretty good indicator that we're trying to find this number and we don't know what this number is. And we can write this number as a variable because this is our unknown. This is our unknown quantity, a number, but we don't know what the number is. So when 3/4 of a number is decreased by 8, the result is 46. So this part here stands out to me as well because it's telling me that the result is 46. So this to me says that we're working with an equation because when we have the result is, that's kind of the same as writing an equals sign, isn't it? We're going to do all these operations to this number, and when we're finished doing the operations, the result, or it will equal 46. So what is the number? And that's confirmed our suspicions. They want us to find this unknown number here, okay? So the number is the unknown quantity. So if we go back to our steps, step 1, read the question. We've done that. What is the question asking for? Well, it's asking us what is the number, wants to know what the number is. And what is the information that we're given? So we're told that, we're performing some operations to this number. We're taking 3/4 of it, then we're decreasing it by 8. And we're told that the result is equal to 46. So that doesn't really help us too much yet, but we know the information that we're given and we know what we need to find. So step 2, use a variable to represent the unknown quantity. So we said that the unknown quantity was a number, the number. What is the number? So that's the unknown quantity, and we need to now use a variable to represent that unknown quantity. So some people like to use x. When it says a number, I like to use the variable n, just because n for number, so I won't forget what it is. So let's say that n equals the number, all right? So if we can find n, then we're going to find what the number is. And we don't know the number yet, so we can't actually write a value in for that just yet. Okay, so we've done step 2. Now step 3 is write the problem as an equation. So this is probably the trickiest step, and that involves reading the question carefully. So when 3/4 of a number, so how are we going to do that? 3/4 of a number. Well, we know that a number is just n. We're using n. So it's 3/4 of n, 3/4 of the number. So we just write it like that, 3/4 of n. That's how we would write it in an algebraic expression. So 3/4 of a number is decreased by 8. How are we going to write decreased by 8? When we decrease a number, we're subtracting, okay? So we're subtracting by 8 because we're decreasing by 8. Okay, so when 3/4 of a number is decreased by 8, so we've done that part, the result is 46. And we already spoke about that. We said the result is means equals, okay? So once we do all this to the number, the result is 46. Okay, what is the number? So we've written down all our information from the question now. We've got an equation, which is lovely. And step 4 is now just solving the equation. We know how to do that. We just need to perform inverse operations to both sides. Sorry, just make sure you can see this. All right, so we've solved our equation now. So n equals 72, but we're not going to write our answer like that because remember the question said, what is the number? The questioner doesn't know what n is. We used n, but they don't know what we're talking about when we just say n equals 72. So we need to write the number is 72. And that's it. That's the solution. All right, let's try another example. So example 2, a rectangle is 3 times as long as it is wide.